Hey
guys, how's it going today?
guys! Are we cute right now or like hey, but why is this better? I'm Loren Schaffer.
And I'm Lindsey Schaffer. And it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
And you're watching Disney Channel. We decided to wear our pink top. I have boobs all over it.
It says, I hope you know how loved you are.
So cute.
Love it. For those of you that don't know us yet, we're sisters and we live in Atlanta, Georgia, and I was recently diagnosed with breast cancer.
Lindsey had expressed to me as she's going through treatment that she was finally ready to share her journey, and she personally believes that she is going through this so that she can help other people, so that she can inspire other people. So that's what we're here to do. I'm just gonna kind of interview you about everything that you're going through.
Okay.
One of the things that we want to bring to people's attention is how common it's becoming to get diagnosed with breast cancer in your 20s.
So here are some facts we got from Young Survival Coalition. 1 in 8 women will get breast cancer in their lifetime.
15,000 women a year are diagnosed under the age of 40, and 80% of those people notice their symptoms themselves. When you're older and you go to get checked up every year, it's known that you're supposed to get a mammogram, right? 50s, it's just part of life. But when you're younger, you have to notice these symptoms yourself because a doctor that's not gonna come to mind. So I'm gonna ask you some questions about your experience. What symptoms did you have before you were diagnosed, starting, I don't know, a year before you were diagnosed?
Okay, so some of the symptoms that I had were fatigue, dizzy, feeling faint, lack of energy, tired even after a good night's sleep. Those were the main symptoms that I did have. Most people will have other symptoms prior to that.
It's a year before you're even diagnosed. I remember that you went to the emergency room a few times and they said there was nothing wrong with you. So tell us a little bit about that.
Before I went to the emergency room, I went to multiple doctor's appointments the entire year because I was trying to figure out what was wrong. I wasn't sick, but I could feel that something was off with my body. So I went to multiple doctor's appointments all the way up to an allergy test where they stuck my back with 48 different things to see if I was allergic to anything in my household or in my life. And that came back that I'm allergic to absolutely nothing.
At one point, I remember we thought she had like asbestos poisoning or
Yeah.
like mold poisoning because the symptoms were so random. And every time she went to the doctor, they just couldn't find anything wrong with her.
Symptoms are different for every single person.
Yeah.
Mine is stage 4. So my symptoms were severe. So if you're starting to have those symptoms, it's probably already metastasized.
But so nothing would have given you any type of indication that it originated in your breast. Obviously you're a tomboy, you wear sports bras, you wear baggy clothes, you're not one to like wear a bikini, but did you notice anything different about your breast? Were you familiar with doing self-exams? Did you, in the shower, were you like, oh, let me feel for this today?
So the crazy thing about mine is I couldn't feel where the tumor is until they took a biopsy of it. It's almost like as soon as they took a biopsy, it was completely stiff. Like it changed.
Okay. So we go to health class and stuff and they tell you, like feel around. So, I mean, if you were to do that, there was just nothing that you noticed. I mean, our bodies have glands in them. I know when I'm on my period or whatever, like my glands swell up and sometimes, they hurt or whatever. And was there ever a day where you thought, this is hurting me more than normal and I think it's coming from my breast?
No. My pain that I started to notice was the bones, and it had metastasized to my bones.
Okay, so let's go to that. So the day that you finally went into the hospital to get scanned and you said, I have had enough of this, how are you feeling that day and what possessed you to go to the hospital that night?
I had just gotten back from a 7-day snowboarding trip. The whole time I was at the snowboarding trip, I had bone pain. My very last run, I did slip out and fall onto my back just a little bit, not enough for it to hurt that bad. But it was hurting so bad that I could barely fly home. So we got the flight home and I'm like, man, I must have just bruised my tailbone. That night I went to go to sleep, and I woke up. I couldn't even fall asleep. At 4 a.m, I thought that I had like a kidney stone or like something was like about to rupture. The pain was so bad. It had finally just hit that point where I was like, oh my God, like I need to go to the emergency room. We go to the emergency room immediately and it's 4 a.m.
Did you have to demand a scan?
No. So what happened was she was checking for like kidney stones and stuff like
Broken bones.
Things like that. She was like feeling around kind of like she wasn't using an x-ray or anything at that point. And then she's like, well, you know what? I'm going to take an x-ray and see, you know, like what's going on. And she said she wouldn't have taken the x-ray if I didn't say I felt like it was hard for me to breathe in. And I'm trying to breathe in. There's actually a pain on my sternum too. It's not just my tailbone. And she was like, oh, then we're gonna do a chest x-ray.
You do the scan, it's in the middle of the night, your entire body hurts. And when they come back with the results of the scan, they say, we found what?
Okay, so this is crazy. She comes back and she's like, it's nothing that you thought it was, and it's nothing that I thought it was. She was in pure shock. She said, are you sure you were snowboarding the past 7 days? And I said, yeah, I've been on a snowboarding trip. I've been doing everything. And she's like, okay, I'm actually gonna have to check you into the hospital. I can't really tell you exactly because I can't read this. It's for someone else to read. She's like, but you do have lytic lesions all over your rib cage. And I'm like, okay, like, so maybe I broke my ribs or something, you know?
Yeah, like we didn't know what that meant.
I have no idea.
We're not doctors.
I'm like, oh wow, like something happened to my ribs. Like, okay, like I've had a cast 1,000,000 times. I've broken my arm 9 times, stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, well, thank God it's not an organ. Taylor was with me at the time and we're both like, oh my God, that's so crazy. You know, like we're talking to each other about like, man, I didn't even fall on my ribs. She kind of left me hanging with that. And then she came back and she was like, actually, is Taylor the only person that's here with you? I said, yeah. And she goes, you should call your family to come here. And I was like, well, why would I do that? You know, like my mom's going to be like, oh man, another broken bone. Like what skate park were you at? She said, call your family and tell them to come. And I asked her why. And she was like, lytic lesions typically come from breast cancer. And I was like, oh. And that's all I said. I was like, oh.
How did you feel when she said that?
My heart was beating really fast. She was basically saying, you have breast cancer. And I'm like, okay, well, I have stage 0 breast cancer. I'm just going to get a double mastectomy and never think about it again. All that went through my head in
Within
1 second.
My mom already had
My
it.
mom's had stage 0 breast cancer and got a double mastectomy and never came back. And I was like, man, that must run in the family. Like, I can do this. And that's all I thought.
In the amount of time that we were waiting for the doctor to tell us what it was, Lisa, our older sister, called me after having Googled lytic lesions and what it means. And I'm driving, I was on the road with my band and I just got to my car and I'm driving in the rain in my car and she tells me lytic lesions typically come from a cancer that it's already traveled to your whole body and your bones are deteriorating. She had already Googled it. So I am sobbing. I had to pull my car over so that I didn't crash the car and I'm sobbing on the side of the road. And my mom ended up making it to the hospital to speak with the doctor. And you want to tell them about mom?
I actually didn't know that they had been Googling it. I didn't know it was stage 4. I didn't know what lytic lesions was. I had no idea. They had taken me from the emergency room and brought me to the check-in part. And I'm like, well, that makes sense. They need to run some tests. Like, I get to go home today. Like, I had no idea that it was going to be like this. So the ER doctor comes in and it was like she brought in an entire storm with her. The entire room changed colors, it felt like to me, because I could feel her energy when she came in the room. I was like, she does not want to come in here and she does not want to tell me what she's about to say. I knew before she said it. So before she even said anything, I breathed in. I was like, I know she's about to say the worst thing ever, because I just have that like intuition. And she told me, she's like, it is breast cancer and it is stage 4, and it has actually left the breast through the armpit, to the ribs, on the sternum bone,
pelvis,
to your pelvis, to the back, to your spine, up your neck. And I'm sitting there for a second and I look over and everyone's just kind of sitting there like, oh my God. And I look over and my mom completely fainted. I can't believe that she fainted still.
Passed out.
She passed out. My mom literally, and you could say, oh my God, she fainted. No, like she literally passed out. So we're sitting there and I'm listening to the doctor. I'm like, yes. And I look over because I'm staring at the doctor and I look over and I'm like, Lisa, mom just fainted. And I'm like, I was like, hey, wait. I was like, the doctor, like, get her. Mom just fainted. And the doctor's like, looks over and was like, what? Oh my God, she just fainted. And she like goes over there. And my mom came back around, like came to, and she's like, wait, what? You have cancer? And then she just starts crying.
Was the doctor optimistic, or did the doctor give you a time frame like, hey, you have 3 months to live? I mean, you know, you watch the movies, but this is real life. What was that conversation like?
So they usually don't say you have this amount of time. I'm embarrassed when I look back at it. I said, okay, everybody calm down, mom. It's okay. Like, it's okay, everyone. Like, we're going to be fine. Like, I can do this. Like, I didn't cry or anything. I was just sitting there, like, super calm and telling her, I was like, we could do this. I was like, let me ask a question. I was like, okay, so is there a cure for this? And she's like, unfortunately, no, there's no cure for cancer. And I was like, well, yeah, I know that. Like, I was embarrassed after I said that. And she, like, kind of made me feel dumb. But, like, I know there's not a cure for cancer, but I meant, like, is there a treatment for this? And I said, do I at least have a week? And because in my mind, I asked her, I said, do I at least have a week? Because in my mind, I was like, okay, if I have a week, that's better than tomorrow. And I swear to God, that's what I said. And I said that right there. And Taylor was sitting right next to me. And the reason I asked if I have a week is because I could finish a lot in a week and talk to everyone that I wanted to talk to. I was like, okay, I can talk to everyone that I need to talk to in a week and make sure that I leave here and everyone's okay. And so, yeah. Taylor's crying.
Okay.
I've never shared that, but I don't even know if you guys remember me saying that. She's like, I can't tell you how long you have. So not reassuring me that I had more than 7 days. She's like, I've seen this before. And she pushed me in the direction of 6 months, that I had 6 months to live. And this is the ER doctor, not my current doctor, oncologist.
Yeah. So didn't she say something, or am I thinking of the oncologist that saying it would be great if you could live into your 30s?
That was a week later when someone had told me, this is my oncologist said, I can see you living well into your 30s. That's an exact quote, because I thought about it so many times since she said that. And I hate to think that, because for a very long, like for the first couple days, I was like, man, I was so grateful for 7 days. And then I was grateful for 6 months. And then when she said well into your 30s, I was like, that's not enough time.
Yeah, I remember you calling me with the well into your 30s thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you said it, and you were like, well, just one of the scary things is her saying I could live well into my 30s. And I'm sitting here thinking,
that's tomorrow.
Yeah, like that's not enough time. Like, and I think that's when I started to freak out. As the family, everybody kind of reacts to something like this a little bit differently, and everyone in our family has reacted differently. Lisa is like an immediate, the immediate person. She's like numbers. She's like, let me like crunch this, let me do this, let me make appointments, like she's like a doer, like immediately like plan of action. For me, I actually was in denial for probably, I want to say 2 months maybe. I was in denial, and I kind of like refused to talk about it and refused to say. I'm such a huge believer in manifesting and that your thoughts create your reality, that my way of coping was like if I cancel this out of my mind, maybe it won't happen. Like maybe it's not real. Of course, coronavirus hit too. So none of us could be near her for a couple of months. Not only were we not allowed to see her in person, but I'm sitting here thinking, well, maybe if I like manifest that this is not real, it will start to go away. She's healthy. She's going to be back on a skateboard before we know it. The treatment is going to work. She's going to eat healthy, blah, blah, blah. So everybody's dealing with it differently, I think. After you accepted that, was there a moment where you made a decision? Like, I don't know how this works. When you're told something like that, do you make the decision like, I'm going to give up or I'm going to fight?
Yeah. Not necessarily to the point where it's like night and day. I'm sick, I'm gonna stay in bed, and I'm gonna die. Like it's not like a night and day thing. You have two options. You can be really, really sad about it, stay in bed and take that route where you just cannot get up in the morning, take all the pain pills, and just poor me, like in bed every day. You can do that, that's not good. I never had that moment. Obviously, like the second she told me, I literally sat up straight in the bed, looked around the room at my family who were not okay. And I was like, okay, so obviously my option is this never happened. So I need to get to the point where it's completely gone out of my body so we can go back to normal.
What did the next few months look like for you?
Everything was so fast, actually. I got really lucky because we have a really good family friend who works in some of those departments, so they can direct us so quickly and help us make decisions. So we decide where we want to go for treatment and do it, like what hospitals we want to go to, what doctor do we want to see. I have the best doctor ever. I'm so thankful for her. She looked at my scans and my age and everything that's going on and said, I'll take you on Wednesday. And I remember her saying that, and I'm like, amazing, because some people wait months and months for the right person, or they just go that next week to whoever's open and available. But I got the best doctor the next week, which just doesn't happen. Like somebody was looking out for me.
There was a period of time where you went into full hiding because you were so sick and nobody saw you that way. But do you want to talk about that?
Okay, so next thing you know, I blink and I'm in surgery. I've never been in surgery or under, and I get this port in my chest and we're starting chemo treatment. So we started pretty quickly, but those months that you're thinking of where I didn't talk to anyone or didn't tell anyone, that was when I was on the most harsh part of my chemo. So I was on docetaxel, and that's where I'm like losing all my hair. My skin was completely white. I could not walk for 2 months, and not one person knew that, except for my mom and Taylor.
I think I came 2 or 3 times to my mom's house, had to wear gloves and a mask, had to disinfect my entire body and just say hi. And I remember I didn't want to say it out loud or act like, whoa, like I didn't want her to know that I felt this way. But I remember being like really scared. I remember seeing her and her being like, she had this back brace on because her bones were so, they were disintegrating before our eyes. She couldn't barely walk to the bathroom. She was really thin. And it was so cute. She had, in her bedroom, she has like all this healing stuff, crystals and essential oils going, and she's got all these like things going on. She had this little healing chamber in my mom's house, and Lindsey and Taylor sat up in there for, I don't even know, 3 months maybe, while she was healing and going through chemo, and no one saw her like that. The positive note of all of this is we're 8 months down the road after you were given approximately 6. You feel better than ever. You look better than ever. You're back on your skateboard.
Yeah.
I think you look better now than you did before you were diagnosed a year and a half ago, because you were sick and you didn't know it.
Yep.
All of a sudden, do you think you just kind of like felt that treatment kick in? And
it was so the way it works is the cancer that was on my spine is what was stopping me from walking. And this whole time, I didn't tell anyone I couldn't walk. I was doing my Zoomy stuff from home and over the phone because all of my stores were closed.
Okay, pause. Lindsay's still working.
Oh, yeah.
She never stopped working the entire time.
No.
So all through chemo, all through this period where she couldn't even walk or do anything, she was on her laptop and on her phone working, and no one knew. I mean, everyone knew that she was sick and they were praying for her and they were so kind, but they didn't know how terrible she felt.
All of my stores were closed because of Corona, so I actually didn't have to go in person. So nobody knew that I was that bad. I didn't tell anybody how bad it was. I was just like, yeah, I'm great. Every time I got chemo, the cancer that was on my spine that was causing me trouble to walk started to melt and shrink. Started to have like full mobility. And that's when I was able to start like walking the block. It would be like a miracle if I walked the block.
Yes.
And we would
I remember
celebrate
that.
like she made it all the way around.
Like, oh my God, she walked around the neighborhood. It was like a big deal.
And nobody knew this though. Like literally, I would be on the phone with someone from Zoomies like, yeah, like let's do this today. I'll do this. We're gonna Zoom and I'll do like the Zoom calls or whatever and all this stuff. And it's like cute background. Like I have my little beanie on and stuff. And then like I hang up and I'm like in real life, I'm like, oh my God, like not okay at all.
Do you attribute it to chemo, or do you think what you're doing holistically in your diet and all of that is also a huge part of it?
Oh, it's definitely both. So a lot of people are like, how can you take chemo and not throw up? How are you? I definitely lost most of my hair. My hair was like down to here. You have the energy for that. And I'm like, well, I do holistic treatment and I get the chemo. I'm doing both. So usually someone goes, we're like, oh, we're only doing the chemo and nothing else, or we're only doing the holistic way. I do both at the same time. So I have, everything from my oncologist, who's amazing, working, and then everything that I study working together, which made it go by quicker, and it gave me more energy, and my muscles started to build, and I was lifting like arm weights in the bed. Like Loren would come in and be like, wow, like you're crazy.
So you're saying, there's people that are like, F modern medicine, and then there's people that are like F holistic nutrition, it doesn't do anything. What you're saying is you're a believer in both. You love your doctor, you're so appreciative for modern medicine, but you also believe that you need to eat healthy. What do you eat in a day? Have you had a soda since?
No.
Have you had ice cream since?
No.
Have you had fast food since?
No.
Have you had a cheeseburger since?
No, I wish.
Okay, so do you eat mainly fruits and vegetables?
Yeah, I'm basically raw vegan, and I say basically because there are times when I have to have something else depending on how I feel.
Like protein.
Yeah, I take plant protein every day. I have plant protein shakes and all that, but sometimes I need a little bit more substance and something filling. And the thing about what I'm doing is I can't have bad carbs. So a lot of people that are vegan, they can still have carbs, like
fries.
Yeah, that's a good example. Fries, baked potato, whatever. I can't have any of that.
And why is that?
So there are certain things that give your cancer fuel. So the same way you gas your car, you can gas your cancer to move. So the first thing you do when you wake up is if you have sugar, your cancer eats that and it gives it fuel to move. So no sugar, no bad carbs. I'm strictly fruits and vegetables.
So for those that don't know, if you eat a white starch like rice or bread,
your blood recognizes it
as sugar.
Right. The
So
cancer
Lindsay
eats
has
that.
cut all of that out. So we're so proud of her. When our dad passed away, his holistic nutritionist also gave him that advice. And I mean, I hate to say it, but he wasn't very strict about it. And I remember us being pretty upset. So after losing him, we're all so proud of Lindsay to see how strict and serious she is about the diet. And I think most of us have started to adopt similar eating habits. I eat terrible. But I really have tried, since Lindsay's diagnosis to eat a lot better. And I know Taylor, same thing. Looks amazing and feels amazing. I think we all are being a lot more health conscious, knowing that it's in our genes. What is that?
This specifically is matcha.
Oh, okay.
That is a shake.
What does matcha do?
Matcha is it gives me energy, and it fights against cancer cells.
What's that you're drinking? That is literally the color of puke.
Yeah, it's a plant. It's a plant protein shake. A vegan plant protein shake.
Sidebar, who all has had it in our family? Our mom, our aunt, our grandma, our other aunt, our other grandpa, our other grandma. Our dad had colon cancer, died of it. So, you know, we pretty much figured this, but it runs in our family. So you got the gene test. So what genes are you positive for?
Oh, so many. I would have to go get the paper.
BRCA.
Yeah.
So you have the gene.
I tested positive for more than 75% of the sheet. Lisa has 4 of the genes.
Okay, I got so scared I just went ahead and got a mammogram. I didn't want to waste any time. My mammogram came back okay, but I do have dense tissues, so they're saying that I need to be super careful and I may need to go get an MRI.
You should.
What keeps you going? You know, what keeps you wanting to fight? What things do you have to look forward to? I mean, why so strong? People say, oh my God, you dress like so high fashion every day. You make your bed every day. I mean, what causes you to get up and work so hard and fight this?
I have a lot to do. So my time here is not done. I know that. And there's a lot of things that drive me to live. So I'm trying to think, because I think about it all the time. So I watch my nephews for my sister Lisa all the time. And I will come into the room. They'll come stay at my house. I'll come into this room and they're all sitting on the couch and I'm making them food and we all sit together. Loren comes over, Sean comes over, Taylor's over, everyone's here. And I walk in the room and I think this every time they're here. I'm like, I wonder what Rock is going to look like when he's 15. I think that every time I see him. I'm like, I wonder what Rock's going to look like when he's 15. I won't know if I don't. I will literally won't know that. I wonder what Vince's wedding is going to be like. And Vince is 14 now. I think that all the time. So.
Okay.
Aside from that, you know, my whole family is big on dreams. So it's not the typical 9 to 5 or anything like that. Like we do our passions. So there's a lot more that me and Loren have to do, you know, fashion wise that we want to do, and just dreams. Like in our dreams aren't like, oh, we'll do that someday. Like we have plans and I can't just cut them because, you know, I'm sick. So I wake up every morning and you have to make sure everything's in order. Like the reason I make my bed every morning is because when I walk into that room, it's seamless. My living room is seamless. My kitchen is seamless. My car is clean and seamless. They tell you if you have something and you feel like you have heavy on your shoulders or you're sad or depressed or whatever, clean out your car. Because I guarantee you that your car has cups all in the bottom of the passenger seat. But like it feels really good to get up and leave your house. And when you lock your front door as you're leaving, you're walking to a clean car is completely different start to your day. Lauren knows how I am about like my apartment. Like everything has a spot. And if it didn't, you feel different. I have a big, amazing family and I want to be there for them for everything that they do. And I want to see Lauren's dreams come true and Lisa's dreams come true, especially Lisa's dreams come true. I think about that all the time and our dreams together as a family. And me, Loren, and Lisa have a project. And there's so many things that we have in the works that need to be finished and we can't finish them without me. So I need to be here. I told my dad that I would take care of everyone. And he's not here. I want you to cry. That's the last thing I said to him.
So
I'm gonna cry if you guys cry.
one of the things that we have always believed as a family is that if you are meant for big things, then you need to prepare yourself for big challenges. If you are meant to inspire the world, your life is not going to be easy because no one will ever be able to relate to you or understand you. And if your life is a breeze, then you're not going to be able to help anyone. So people ask us all the time, like, well, I feel like you've been through so much shit, you know, like with your dad, and won't even get into everything, but this is like the icing on the cake to where I think people truly say what you guys have been through is unfathomable. Like, are you kidding me? Is this just the icing on the cake? And as a family, we have always believed that there was this like divine purpose, like we're not going through this for no reason. So for Lindsey to have this positive outlook and say, I am going through this so that I can relay these messages to other people, it's just a testament to how selfless she really is. So make your bed, clean out your car, get dressed.
Every day.
Is there anything else you want to say now that you have, I mean, now millions of people watching you on TikTok? Is there anything that you want to say to the TikTokers that you haven't already said?
Yeah, well, I just like thank you to everyone who supports me. I'm so thankful. I talk about it every day. I pray about it every night. Surround yourself with people who make you better, and always be yourself, no matter what. Always be yourself. Don't waste time not being you because you don't know how much time you have. So it's really one of the most important things is who you surround yourself with. And it doesn't have to be family because everyone has a different situation, but surround yourself with people that make you better, not people that hold you back. My entire life changed overnight, and the people that are here for me now and are the people that matter, and the people that I know are gonna be there for me forever. Live your dreams and do whatever you want every day as long as it's positive. And I think that's the most important thing, aside from obvious what this whole video is about, is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. You have to go get checked. They'll tell you you have to be 30. You don't have to be 30. If you get a note from your primary doctor or any doctor that says you need that mammogram. So get a checkup, whatever it is, just get that referral from your doctor if you're under 30. Because when I asked for one, the lady on the phone, she laughed at me and she said, "You're not 30, you don't need that." And I wish that I got it then. And it was months, it was a couple, maybe a month before, but still that's a month sooner of knowing, a month less of my cancer growing. And just make sure that you do everything you can to live and fight every day. And also, last thing is, don't be afraid to reach out to me or my family or anybody if you need help with something. And love each other and love everyone.
We love you guys so much. Thanks for watching.